In the wake of the finding by a New York jury that Donald Trump is liable for sexual assault and defamation against writer E. Jean Carroll in that Bergdorf Goodman department store in New York City in the 1990s, we now have a cascade of serial sexual harassment allegations against Donald Trump from a former staffer while he was president of the United States. There was maybe the belief, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's like these serial harassers and assaulters, they don't often stop, particularly not when they're in positions of power. But there were dozens of allegations of different levels of sexual assault against Trump, from sort of like verbal harassment all the way up to rape. Dozens of them in periods of time before Donald Trump became president of the United States. A former staffer is now accusing Trump of sexual harassment in the White House. Newsweek reports staffers who worked in Trump's White House have accused him of sexual harassment. Okay, so a lot of this news is about the verdict, which we've already talked about, and Trump's reaction. Discussing the verdict on CNN, Alyssa Farah Griffin, who quit as Trump's White House comms director in December of 2020, said Trump had a pattern of behaving inappropriately with women while in the White House. She noted she wasn't the only one to report such behavior to Trump's chief of staff. Take a look at this clip from CNN. Stunning, but not altogether surprising.
Listen, when Donald Trump tells you who he is, believe him. We wanted to chalk it up to locker room talk in 2016. It was not locker room talk. Now he's now been charged with, or I should say held liable in this case, for actually committing sexual assault. Like, I cannot underscore that enough. That your guest before made an incredibly important point. Any man or woman who was falsely accused would be the first person to show up and to defend themselves in a rape allegation or a sexual assault allegation. He couldn't be bothered to show up. I have countless cases of what I considered impropriety in the White House that I brought to the chief of staff because I thought the way he engaged with women was dangerous.
Wow.
We know these facts. The patterns have laid out. And now this is something that's not just speculation. It's not just allegations. It is a jury of his peers deciding that he did this.
Wait, you brought to Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, or other chiefs of staff, incidents that you witnessed of Donald Trump behaving inappropriately with women?
I did, as well as former White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham and others. Nothing that rises to this level, but things that I would consider improper and that I had a duty to report. And this is all out there. Voters need to pay attention, and folks in my own party need to stop making apologies for this man.
Is there anything more you can tell us about this?
If I'm able to, I will share more.
All right. You have to come on this show to tell it, though. Alyssa.
Those are major, major allegations. Now, I want to zoom out a little bit. The broader story with these major allegations against Trump follows this pattern. We hear one allegation and MAGA rallies around Trump, and most Republicans do, and say it's made up. And then we get more allegations that now start to become a pattern, and it becomes much more difficult to say that it's made up. I'll give you an example. Cassidy Hutchinson testified to the January 6th committee when Democrats still controlled the House before January of this year. Cassidy Hutchinson testified. Trump lunged at a Secret Service agent and demanded that he be brought. I don't even remember where it was, where the rioters were, or whatever. And the reaction was, that's so out of character for Trump. Trump would never do that. Trump doesn't have a temper. No, it's all very clearly made up. And then a couple of weeks ago, we get yet another story, recent one, which we have on a recording, which is Trump lunged at a reporter on his plane because the reporter was asking Trump what questions that Trump did not want to answer. And Trump snatched the guy's phone out of his hand and tossed it. Oh, so it's the exact same pattern of lunging at people when they are talking to you about something you don't want to talk about or telling you something that you don't want to hear. It starts to become more and more difficult to deny these things, particularly when they're recorded. So now we have another version of this. Trump sexually harassed 1, 2, 25, 30, 40 women before Trump became president. It's all fake. It's totally out of character. Okay, we now have a court finding. A jury has found Trump is liable for sexual assault. And then defaming the woman who accused him of the sexual assault, he owes her $5 million. Oh, well, that's also BS. And now a former staffer says, oh, by the way, the exact same pattern that E. Jean Carroll alleged from the 1990s, dozens of other women alleged during the 2000s, it didn't stop when Trump was in the White House. It's all the same story. And so the right, the MAGA right, some Republicans who continue to defend this guy will insist these allegations are so hard to believe. They're just so random. They're being made up. They're being weaponized. These allegations of Trump's temper, Trump's snapping at people, lunging at people, sexually harassing, sexually assaulting, and going beyond that with women. It's a decades-long pattern. It's a decades-long pattern that goes back. One of Trump's former wives, I now forget which one, I think it was Ivana, said Trump sexually assaulted her multiple times. How can it all be this concerted effort to defame Trump when first a jury quite literally found that it was actually Trump who did the defamation? And it's the same stories from women who don't even know each other, who have nothing to do. Alyssa Farah Griffin and what she observed when she worked for Trump a few years ago has nothing to do with what happened to E. Jean Carroll or what Trump's ex-wife alleged or what, the young women from the Miss Whatever pageant where Trump would go backstage. It's all unrelated individuals who don't know each other. And the pattern that's emerging is these stories seem to be corroborated again and again and again from unrelated sources. That's really the revelation here. So tonight there's a town hall on CNN. Is it going to be handled responsibly? Is it going to be handled the way it should be handled, given the insanity of who Trump is and has become? I'm not confident, but we're going to talk about that after the break. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/The David Pakman Show. Make sure you're following us on TikTok for the short form content, and make sure you've signed up at joinpakman.com.